first time going live on YouTube. I did do some test practices last night, but whoever is going to see this, you will see it whenever you see it. I wish I didn't have to. I'm going to just put this right here, even though I don't like this. This is not the greatest angle. But anyway, who cares? So this uh, is not about me. I've been guided to come live, even though I posted about this on my Instagram page, but I'm coming live. Let me just jump right into it because there are a number of people talking about or discussing the alleged suicide of Chesley Christ. Now, um, before her either suicide or whatever else it could be, we really don't know yet. I've not heard of Chesley before. The first time I've ever heard of her has been recently, since there's been so much talk about her death. And so it inspired me to want to post about it. Um, and a number of other posts that I've done over the years in regards to alleged suicides. And so um, my work and mission is sharing unorthodox philosophies about turning pain into power, particularly those who struggle with anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And I've only been able to share information about it because I struggled with the same, some of the same um, experiences. Now, we use the term disorder, mental disorder, very loosely. A lot of people use it as if they know really, what they're. A lot of people use it very loosely without truly diving deep into understanding what it actually is. So, my research, part of my work is research, incorporating spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I don't mean um, anything dealing with religious doctrine. I mean absolutely unorthodox spirituality, those things that will be considered mysticism, and those things that will probably be considered occult, occult studies. And so my work in um, developing these philosophies for women and girls who struggle with specifically anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. My work highlights that these so called disorders are really the symptoms of a much more potent superpower trying to break free. And so I've walked myself through uncovering and unleashing who I am, and not only who I am, but what I am, and why anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts or death, thoughts about death, period, showed up for me and what they were trying to tell me. So I'm doing this live in regards to Chesley Chris because I want to read the post that I posted about her. Again, I did not know Chesley before talk about her death, but of course, because my work um, is geared towards what we call mental disorders, um, I had to say something. So I posted on my Instagram, and if you like to follow me over there, please go ahead. It's Timmesha Burgess, okay? Um, but there was an interview that Chesley Chris did with um, Dwayne and Gabrielle Union Wade about mental health. And of course, we know Gabrielle Union some time ago came out about her struggles with mental disorder um, due to a lot of the experiences she had as a teenager, being raped and things like that. And so some time ago, I did an article called "Me Too: Shifting the Narrative," a new thought perspective about how to turn pain into power. And so, anyway, this is a post that I posted about Chesley. So those of you that have been with me for some time, and I'm reading it on my laptop. So those of you that have been with me for some time know that I only post what I'm guided to, so here goes. I didn't know Chesley Christ until the mention of her alleged suicide just recently. If, and I put if in quotations because if I'm not really quite, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if people are quite sure if her suicide was true or if her suicide was actually, if her death was actually suicide. But if she indeed did commit suicide due to mental health disorders, then the question should be, why do we think that just because a person is accomplished, that they are in their true power? I'll say that again. Why do we think that just because a person appears to be accomplished, maybe I should have put that in there, that they are in their true power and their true purpose on this planet? From the research I did on Chesley, she was very accomplished according to societal standards of success. She was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, had presence, competed in pageants and won. She was an attorney, she was an advocate, she was a public figure. She had a lot of what we would consider successes to be. I saw a video from a gentleman who posted about Chesley saying, she did this and she did that and she was doing this. Why would she kill herself? Why would she do that? And the question is, so you're equating her happiness or anybody's happiness with being able to acquire status on this planet? Being able to acquire things just because you're in the public eye and you're attractive? Let me tell you something. I read something once and it spoke to me. It said, some of the most emotionally affected people, and even in some cases, some of the most insecure people, are the most attractive and the most accomplished. Some of the people who are struggling the most are those who we would consider aesthetically beautiful and successful. And why is that? Well, because you have no idea what people had to go through to manifest, okay, to accomplish, to push envelopes, to push past barriers, okay? This is beyond being a black, mixed, female. We're talking about being humans on a planet with 7.5 billion other people who will not like you just because you showed up in a room. And no one ever talks about what you have to work through, what you have to unsee, what you have to become and unbecome in order to get to certain places in your life. We have no idea what Miss Christ was dealing with behind closed doors. We have no idea what her upbringing was like. I remember watching a movie some time ago. There's a few movies I've watched just over the years where you see this amazing, looks on the surface amazing family. They've got money, they've got nice things, they look fit and healthy, and behind closed doors are literal parasites to each other. It was a movie where this young girl, she was quiet, very accomplished, but when I say very accomplished, she was academically accomplished, and turns out her father had been raping her for years. But she'd show up at school, she participate in contests and things like that. She was a straight A student, but would go home and would be raped by her father. Right. So we have no idea what Chesley's, and I'm not in any way insinuating that was happening in her case. I don't know. I don't know her. A lot of us who are talking about her don't know her. We don't know what her upbringing was like. And we're equating that to saying, well, there's no way she could have or should have because she had all these things and was doing all of these things. So I'll say again, why do we think that just because a person is accomplished, that they are in their true power? We seem to equate happiness with achieving societal expectations of success. And while achievement can be fun, okay, it isn't the mark of true individual power and purpose. Meaning, I could be a very successful race car driver. Okay. I could be very, very good at it. But does that mean that I'm in my power just because I'm good at it? Does that mean that that's the reason why I came to this planet and I'm here right now during the greatest shift on our planet? The reason that I've come here, does that mean that I'm in my power and in my purpose just because I'm doing something and that I'm good at it? Right? We've heard the saying, I think who was that first said it? I don't know, it was Tyra Banks. I think it was Tyra Banks in the 90s, who had the 90s or early 2000s when she decided to branch off and do other things other than just be a supermodel, right? And people were asking her, well, you're a supermodel, you make lots of money, you get to travel all over the world. And she said, being a supermodel is what I do. It's not who I am. And so she took a very bold risk in being able to go and create, find, or uncover and unleash who she really was outside of being a supermodel, outside of what the world knew and saw. And so we don't know if Chesley ever got that chance. And if she wanted to, we don't know what barriers were in her way that kept her from uncovering and unleashing who she really was outside of who we thought she was, outside of what it looked like. Okay. So in my personal opinion, investigations need to go further, need to go deeper to be sure there wasn't foul play in the case of Chesley Christ's death. Okay. We need to be sure there wasn't foul play. And this is why I say this. Okay. It had nothing to do with her accomplishments. It had nothing to do with any of that. Okay. But based on what I understand about the psyche of not just human beings, but of the feminine species of the human being. All right. Thank you for the like. Based on what I understand about the feminine species of the human being. Yes, I studied this in school. Yes, I studied this in psychology, but I've also seen it in different cases that I've studied when I was in school. Okay. Some of our American psychoanalysts and psychologists have even discussed this as well. When we think about suicide in the case of a female, all right, predominantly, okay, the majority, not all the time, but the majority of any female that attempts suicide, science suggests, and everything isn't about just, based on science. Things are based on experience. Things are based on, individual belief, whatever it is. But according to science, right, and according to what I've seen in cases, women think of cleaner ways to kill themselves. Think about that. Women think of cleaner ways to kill themselves. And as wild as this may sound, there is some valid truth to it. Psychology suggests that because women are naturally domestic, okay, innately domestic, that first of all, we're innately domestic and we're nurturing, just innately. And so when a female decides to kill herself, she's most likely going to think of the cleanest way to do it, because she isn't just thinking about herself, she's thinking about her family. There was this case study that I read where this one woman, a few case studies where this one woman attempted to kill herself. She wrote a suicide note, and the note said that she decided to slit her wrist in a tub with water Why did she do that? And some of you who studied psychology, you probably know this or have heard of this before. Or if you've never even studied it, this probably just makes sense to you in some way, shape, or form. But she slit her wrist in the tub full of water. Why? Because the innate nature of a woman, being domestic, being nurturing, says, well, I don't want my family to have to clean up my mess. Even in death, considering how, even in death, the woman is considering the aftermath of how it affects the people she loves. Science and psychology suggests that when women or female decides to take her own life, she's more than likely going to do it in the cleanest way possible because of her innate nature to be domestic and to be nurturing. So for Chesley to have jumped from, I can't remember the number of stories of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 foot floor building, to me suggests foul play. But I'm not a forensic specialist. I'm not a officer. I'm not chief of police. I'm not any of those things. But there are people who are. And I do strongly believe that those people should get involved, should be able to get involved to ensure that there was not foul play. To jump from that high of a building and call it suicide, okay? It's a whole nother thing, and I think it should be investigated. I'm thinking about this movie Beyond the Lights, when the singer wanted to jump from the building after her concert. That's a movie, but art imitates life, or life imitates art, whatever. Okay, so I don't know if this was the case in Chesley's experience. Okay, so that's that. Alrighty, so need to be sure there isn't foul play. I'm still reading from my post. All right. So like in the case of Rada Atif, which I posted about 2 years ago. So Rada was a beautiful supermodel. She was a Vogue supermodel. She was from, don't quote me. I think Saudi Arabia, or I forget where she was from. Don't quote me on that. But she was of Muslim background. Anyway, it was alleged that she committed suicide. Rada was in school studying to be a doctor. She was a supermodel. She was beautiful. She was well-traveled. And so there was alleged stories that she committed suicide. But then there was also other stories where her family came out and said, there's no way my daughter committed suicide. There's no way my sister or my cousin or my friend committed suicide. The other story that came out was that she refused to wear the traditional head wrap or the Muslim wear when she was out in public, and some supposedly some Muslim extremists murdered her because she wouldn't cover up. Till today, we still don't know the true story of that. But I follow my own gut. I follow my own intuition. Okay. If, again, Chesley chose to end her physical life, it was only because she had not yet known the truth that suicidal thoughts are the symptoms of a new you that is ready to be birthed in this life. If, I'll say that again, because there's quite a bit in there. If, scroll down. How do I scroll down? I'm not used to seeing this on my laptop, excuse me. In 1 second. For anybody that's watching, thank you forever. Who's here, by the way? I see you, but I just don't know who you are. Let me know who's here. How do I look at this full thing? Excuse me, I'm trying to see the full thing. I don't know how to scroll down. Okay, here we go. If Chesley chose to end her physical life, it was only probably because she had not yet known the truth, the hidden truth, the truth that swept under the rugs, the truth that most therapists or clinical psychologists, your priests or your pastors are unable to tell you if they've not taken this journey themselves. I've taken the journey. I know exactly what this type of darkness looks like. Okay? I know exactly what it means to walk through this type of darkness. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Through the shadow of death. Shadow meaning it's reflecting from something else. But what is it trying to reflect? What is it truly reflecting? What's that true thing that's there that the shadow is reflecting? Okay? Sorry, I just got a message. So if Chesley chose to end her physical life, it was only because, probably because, she had not yet known the truth that suicidal thoughts about death, wanting to end your life, are the symptoms, are the byproducts of a new you that is ready to be birthed in this life. I did a video some time ago called Having Suicidal Thoughts. Good. May I join you? Okay. My philosophies are unorthodox and are New Age, but they're mine. And they are meant for those who it's meant for. And so what I mean by suicidal thoughts being the symptoms or the byproducts, the evidence that there is a new you that wants to be birthed now, meaning, yeah, you are having thoughts about death because there is a part of you, this mask that you've been wearing your entire life, that is ready to die, so that the you that you were born to be, so that the you that you were DNA coded to be can be reborn in this life, in this same body. No funeral arrangements required unless you're going to have a symbolic funeral to bury the old you while the new you stands there and putting black roses on your casket, right? And that's symbolic and metaphysical. Okay. So the idea of having suicidal thoughts, having thoughts about death for a particular set of you, this isn't for everybody. Okay. My idea of suicidal thoughts differs from mental illness. We're talking about in my philosophies, I differentiate disorder from illness, mental disorder from mental illness. So this isn't for those who struggle with mental illness, meaning those who may necessarily need medication, who may require that, who may require the traditional approaches to mental health. This is for a particular group of people, women and men, children, who are on this planet. So my work is tailored and targeted for women and girls ages 13 to 36. Okay. But it's for this message, these philosophies are for a particular set of you who are on this planet, who are here for purposes that are beyond what you probably have been taught up until now. Okay. You are here as the enlightened ones, the chosen ones. You're probably the indigo children, the rainbow children, those who are here to set the record straight, those who are here to restore balance, so to speak. Okay. My messages are for the chosen ones. For many of you who are the chosen ones, you are definitely struggling. You are definitely experiencing extreme levels of anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. You are having thoughts about death often. And maybe in many cases, you do want to leave this planet. You do want to leave this realm because this realm is so dense and so difficult. And so you have to put in work. You have to put in muscle in this realm. In order to get things to grow, you got to put in the work to plant the seeds. This realm and this planet is a working planet. You got to put in the work. You do. But it doesn't have to be hard work, not for the long term, right? So those of you may decide that you don't want to be on this planet because it's such hard work. You'd rather be somewhere else. But let me tell you something. If you are a chosen one here to restore the balance, okay, if you are here for a particular purpose, to unleash your superpower on this planet, to restore the balance, then let me tell you something. Taking your physical life will have you back here doing the same shit again. Right? Now, this isn't for everybody. taking your physical life will be the quickest way not to leave here, but to return back to do the shit again until you get it right. I promise you, suicide of your physical body is no escape, because you will be back, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. You are here for a purpose. You are here for a purpose, for purposes. And unless you get the shit done, your ass is coming back. Okay? That's a whole another conversation for another day. We can go deeper on that on some future lives. We'll talk about that. But anyway, so those of you who are experiencing suicidal thoughts about death, more than likely have not been made privy to this information, that those thoughts are merely the shadows of something much more deeper trying to come up, are the shadows of something much more deeper trying to communicate to you. Yes, there is this part of you that is saying, I am ready to die. But there's another part of you that's saying, I am ready only because I'm ready to live. Right? There are parts of you that's saying, I'm ready to die, only because there's another part of you that is saying it's ready to live in this life. And perhaps Chesley was not made privy to this information. Perhaps there was nobody around to tell her when she said, maybe she never divulged it. Maybe there was no one around that was on that energetic level that could read into her frequency, that could get on the level of where she was. When you're in that certain type of public image and level in life, when you're in front of the cameras and you're hosting and doing interviews and all this kind of stuff, and I only know this because this is my background. My background is doing red carpet interviews. I'm an award-winning journalist. I know what it's like to show up at events, live events, and hosting and all this kind of stuff in front of cameras and doing it, radio interviews and writing and all this. I know what it's like. And let me tell you, there's so many people who there's so much falseness. There's so much just inorganicness. And I know that's not a word, but there is. And so there probably more than likely was no one around that can get with her on her level, that can even not understand, because understanding means there is a place and you're under that, okay? There's a level of knowledge and you're under that. So this isn't about understanding. This is about overstanding and understanding where a person is without them even having to say a word. And you're only able to be in that place because you've been there. I'm only able to have this conversation because I've been here. I know what it's like to feel like you want to die. And so on my journey through the darkness, through my dark night of the soul journey, through my awakening and activation journey, I did die. The problem isn't having thoughts about death. The problem is knowing how to die. How to die in a way that you have a powerful fucking rebirth in this life. Right here. In this body. In the same body you're in right now. And even that's relative, because even that will change after you die. My mom has a show on YouTube. It's called Shifting Religious Concepts, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. And one of the first podcasts is one of the first shows that I was on. We were talking about this idea of going through hell. And I talked about going through hell and death. And I said, the problem isn't dying. I said, I love the idea of dying and death and rebirth now that I know how to die. And in the case of Chesley Christ, perhaps she wasn't introduced to other ways that you can die. There are 1,000,001 ways to die. Which one are we choosing? On my spiritual journey, my guides, my ancient ancestors, showed me how to die. only to live again. Showed me how to die to everything I was ever taught about myself and about the world around me. Showed me how to die to the masks I was wearing. Showed me how to die to the expectations that I was trying to keep up with. Showed me how to die to all the shit that was never me, only so that I could be reborn into the me I was always meant to be. So let me finish this up and then I'll get out of you guys' hair. Whoever's here, I wish I could see who you are. Tell me who you are. Okay. So while listening to an interview from Extra TV, they quoted Chesley saying this: "Turning 30 reminded me that I'm running out of time to matter in society's eyes." Turning 30 reminded me that I'm running out of time to matter in society's eyes. Wow. So not only did Chesley probably have ideas that she was aging, I don't know where that must have come from, maybe competing in pageants, there's this idea of agelessness. Perhaps there was some ideas in her mind, in her body, that she was taught that you don't have much time. You're getting older. Are you married? You're ever gonna get married? You're ever gonna have kids? Okay. Chesley appeared to accomplish many things, one after the other. Was she doing this because she enjoyed it, or was she doing this because she was trying to prove that she was worthy on a planet around people that really never knew her worth outside of the shit she was doing? Feeling like she had to accomplish in order to matter. Perhaps Chesley didn't know that her just being here was enough. Her choosing to be here, period. Her walking into a room was healing enough. The sound of her voice was healing enough. Perhaps she didn't know that was enough. Perhaps she didn't know her smile was enough. Perhaps she didn't know that the scent of her perfume was enough. Perhaps she didn't know that when she hugged the janitor when she walked into the building she worked in, that was enough. Perhaps she didn't know. I didn't. Again, I did a video on having suicidal thoughts. Good, may I join you? It's on my YouTube. It's on here. You can search for it. Why am I getting emotional? I feel her energy. I feel the energy of many of you. Many of you who do not know why you're here. And because you don't know why you're here, you'd rather die. Well, let me tell you, you are in the most powerful place you can be in, wanting to die. It is proof that you are ready to die to all that is not you so that you can become all that is. There are 1,000,001 ways to die. Let me show you another option. Let me show you how to die and have a powerful rebirth right here, right now, in your body on this earth. That's my power. And I'm sharing it with you. So Chesley, if you are listening to this, and if you did indeed decide to take your physical life, if there was no foul play involved, and you did decide to take your physical life, then I guess this planet will be seeing you again.